schools and other needs, and I think that's reasonable. But Blacksburg citizens are county citizens too. We've been paying into that fund for years, and so it's not as if we haven't already, in some sense, already paid for that property. So, you know, the town would like to buy it for as little as possible, so I'm hoping we can find a compromise somewhere in the middle, between the highest possible price and the lowest price. We control the zoning. Right now it's zoned residential. It wouldn't make any sense for us to change that zoning for the county so they could sell it for a higher amount. So that's really the one card that we have. As far as possibilities on it, there's all kinds of things we can do there. It's almost 20 acres. I believe it's about 19 acres. I would like to see ball fields, recreational fields, soccer fields, baseball fields, maybe some senior housing, some denser housing. Perhaps the front of it could be zoned commercial for some offices and retail space, and leave some part of it, maybe even a majority of it, open and civic in nature. But again, I don't want to prejudge that. I want to let people weigh in on that. I think there are a couple critical issues. The historic district is right next to it, and one of the features of the historic district is that the streets often end in a T. And what that's done is it's kept that 16 squares intact for the last 200 years. So one of the things, it's a minor thing, but it's also important in a way, is to make sure that when we develop that land, we don't bring the streets all the way through it. That'll really hurt the downtown. There's a lot of possibility there. It's an exciting process. I think that will be a key issue for the next council, and I hope I have a chance to help on that front.
With the students being such a big part of the community, if elected, what ways would you reach out to the students to make sure that their voices are heard and their opinions are heard within town council, other than just opening the doors?
Do you want to take that one first, or?
I can. We're not taking turns. I think I went first last
time. All right. Here's what I think is really, really important. Local government is the one part of the political process, whether it's state or federal government, where you can really, as Cecile said earlier, make a difference. You can see what's happening. You can know people, you know who the mayor is, you know who the people on council are, you know the staff folks, you know your council members, you know the planning commission members. So there really is a really key thing about our democratic process is that you can participate and help make a difference. A lot of people complain about local government, but they're not really trying to make things work. I would encourage young people, young students, to get involved, to participate in the process, to find out if there are boards and commissions that you want to, that are of interest to you, and to try to get you on those boards and commissions and be part of what's happening in downtown. I think that's one way to do it, is get people more involved. I think the town's doing a good job. Some of the new parties and festivals that we have downtown, like Jazz Fest and the Summer Festival, and obviously stepping out, and some of the things Tech does, like the International Fair. That's one of my favorites. I think that brings everybody together into one place, and the divisions between whether you're a student, an ex-student, a townie, a person who works, or even people coming from outside of the town, from the county to some of these events. I think that's a great way to bring people together. It's key. I don't have an exact answer for that. I'd like to ask you, perhaps, if you'd like to say what some of the things that you would like to do to be more involved and be more participatory in the town and its movement as we go forward.
Well, I think one problem just with students at Tech, I mean, a lot of people don't get involved or are afraid to get involved and do their 4 years here, take their classes, get their diploma, and get out. So I think a little bit of it is just a matter of reaching out to students and saying, hey, take this survey or do this, what is your opinions on, what you see is going on in Blacksburg. I mean, even if it's just something that's, like you were saying about the middle school, putting out a survey or seeing, having a forum held at the Lyric so, students could get involved and share their opinions, and more so bringing the government to them so that they're more participatory.
That's a good idea.
Maybe there's certain things like having council meetings or work sessions happen on campus. I mean, just changing the location or things like that, so it's not like it's one place and everybody has to come there, but we can do things like actually go out and move that around. Maybe something like that.
Yeah, we have, one thing, this question was asked last night of us at the Student Government Association Forum. We have something called Blacksburg Alert, where you sign up with your email address and you get these alerts from the town, and they're just various announcements about all kinds of different stuff. And so I'd like to see at the beginning of the school year an effort made to get the students signed up for Blacksburg Alert. It's easy to sign up, you just have to know to do it. We also, the League of Women Voters puts out a Facts for Voters pamphlet every year that has the phone number and address of every elected official, so that if you have a problem, you can call them or email them. I think it'd be important to get those onto campus too. They may be on campus, but I doubt that you guys are really handed one at the beginning of the year. I don't think we can move our council meetings because they have them in town hall so they can be filmed and put on TV, but I think it is a good idea to bring government to the students where it's possible. But what you said about how it's a small number of students who get involved, sometimes it feels like that in the town also. I'll see the same 10 people at everything I go to, and they're the involved people who are making a difference. But we have 30 committees and boards that are appointed by the town council, and each of those committees has, I don't know, 6 to 15 people on it. So that's a lot of people who are involved really in setting policies, and they don't set policies, but they advise the council. And they're making big differences, setting the course for our town. And I'd love to have students on some of those committees. So, like say if you were getting the Blacksburg alerts, you'd see, okay, the corridors committee needs 2 members for next year, and you could apply for it. So that's the kind of thing. And you know, if we're on the council, we can make a difference by saying, okay, we've got some students applying for these committees, let's put them on there. So that's a couple things I've thought of, but you guys have more ideas of how you might get involved in town, I'd love to hear it.
Well, there was talk about like a student advisory panel also, wasn't there? Like, was that something that you all would support? Having, you know, a small group of students, you know, elected by peers or whatever, to kind of a liaison between town council and the student body.
Sure, yeah,
Sure.
That's a great idea.
And then, you know, if there were things going on, if there were a survey or something like that, then that group of people, they could, you know, work with SGA, you know, political organizations on campus, and maybe have things on, like, on the drill field or something, you know, to let people know that they, you know, give them an opportunity to have their voices be heard.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
That's certainly something that I think I could support, and I'm sure Cecile could too.
Yeah.
Great. Was there one more question? Yeah.
I know as members of town council, that your responsibility would be representatives of the community, but as a student in public administration myself, and as a member of a previous zoning commission, I believe is what you said, what value would you put in opinions of city management and of professional staff, and your opinions of town council and your votes, I guess?
I guess I'm not clear of your question. How?
A lot of your job is of course representation, make sure you're getting opinions from the community, but also what value do you put in the opinions and the recommendations of city management?
I see, yeah.
Town
Well,
staff
in
management.
Blacksburg, the town manager is hired by the council. So they choose somebody they trust a lot, and they can help guide the town manager. And I think his opinion is it carries a lot of weight. I would like to see the town staff carry more weight. There's a certain hierarchy in the way information gets passed. The council doesn't just go to staff to get information, they go through the manager. And I think that's an important route to take. But I myself would like to hear more from staff about what's going on in there, what's happening in the permitting department, what's happening out in the industrial park at our offices out there. And so I think the manager does carry a lot of weight. I'm not sure the staff does at this point.
I'd like to add a little bit to that. The way the system sort of is set up now is you have town council, which is responsible for listening to the citizenry and sort of setting tone and direction for the town through that public process of hearing and give and take. And then, so it's citizenry, town council, and then the staff. The staff is responsible for implementation of that direction.